What up, Fight Fam? It's your boy, Marlo, back with another one. And I'm going to start this one off by saying, I hope y'all and your families are doing good and well in this pandemic. Salute. This video is a trivia of 7 magnificent fighters that have a few things in common, and followed after one that blazed the trail. I'm going to give my take on the roads that they took and the fighters that they faced. I'm going to leave 10 questions in the comment section. The first person to answer all 10 questions the fastest will get the $25. Gotta have Cash App or PayPal. The second person to get the questions right the fastest, I'm gonna give away the MARLO'S Corner t-shirt. Again, gotta have PayPal or Cash App, and for the t-shirt, must live in the United States. So yeah, don't forget to leave your comments in the comment section, and also share and like the video. Must be a subscriber to participate. Peace. The originator, the Motor City Cobra, Thomas Hitman HEARNS, from Detroit, Michigan, by way of Memphis, Tennessee. He began this trend August 2nd, 1980, at the Joe Louis Arena in his hometown by knocking out WBA welterweight world champion Jose Pepino Cuevas in 2 rounds. Going into the fight, Cuevas was on his 12th title defense, looking to make Hitman his 12th win, but instead he was the first victim on Hearns' hit list that started with jabs and hooks that had Cuevas do a little dance before the right hand ended the night. But Hitman wasn't done yet. He would make his next mark in Louisiana at the Superdome versus Wilfred Benitez on December 3rd, 1982. For Benitez's WBC super welterweight strap in a 15-round banger. Hearns set out early to establish the jab. Benitez was slick and crafty, but Hearns was able to land counters, hooks, and straight right hands, all working off the jab all night. After Benitez got up, he proved to be a worthy game opponent, but it wasn't enough. As one judge saw Benitez able to fight to a draw, but the other 2 gave it to Hitman, and giving him the majority decision to edge out another win and set another stone in history. He would go on to defend his crown 4 more times before bumping into a hiccup in Marvin Hagler for undisputed at middleweight. But that wouldn't stop him from carving his name in boxing history and leaving a trail that everyone in this group to follow, as he would move up to light heavyweight to face Dennis Andries for Andries' WBC title. The fight took place at Cobo Hall in Detroit, Michigan, giving Hitman another chance to set another stone in boxing history in his hometown. Andries proved to be the bigger man early, but once Hitman got acclimated to his weight, it was smooth sailing from there. The jab was working good, the right hand found the home, and the countering over Andries' jab would prove to be a factor. Andries was making the fight rough as long as it lasted, but all it took was a counter right hand that had Andries lost in the sauce, not knowing where he at, forcing the referee to call it off and solidifying another notch in the belt of Thomas Hearns. He wasn't done there yet. He was looking down the line for a little over 7 months later to October 29, 1987 for a bout with Juan Domingo Roldan for a vacant WBC middleweight world title. The fight was set to take place at the Las Vegas Hilton in Las Vegas, Nevada. And before Hitman could open the doors and solidify his spot as the originator and trailblazer of this elite group, Roldan was the man he had to go through. Roldan proved to be a tough opponent, because as soon as the bell rang, he came out swinging for the fences, being rough and tough with Hitman. But Hitman will eventually land some nice shots that'll sit down Roldan and have him tasting the canvas. But every time he got up, he was able to get up and put something on the Hitman, had Hitman hurt, clutching and getting himself together. before the ending, which came in the 4th round, when Hitman put him down and he never got back up. And that solidified and opened up the doors to this elite group. He would go on to win 2 more divisions after this one, becoming a Hall of Famer. The Motor City Cobra, Thomas Hitman Hearns. Originator of this elite group, the Maestro, Sugar Ray Charles Leonard, from Palmer Park, Maryland, by way of Wilmington, North Carolina. He began his trend November 30th, 1979, at Caesar's Palace Sports Pavilion in Las Vegas, Nevada, by stopping WBC welterweight champion Wilfred Benitez in round 15. Going into the fight, Benitez was on his 2nd title defense after winning the strap in January of '79. But Leonard was busy, with this being his 9th fight with 8 wins, looking to make it 9 with a title. In the first few rounds, you could tell that both fighters were trying to figure each other out, until the 3rd round came and Ray landed a hook his jab that put Benitez on his wallet. But he got up and it was game on. They both started to land flurries of punches, hard-telling shots, until round 15. Benitez got caught in the exchange and the left hook put him down. But when he got up, Ray wanted to make sure it was over. He ran up and landed a flurry of punches that forced the referee to call it off, and making Ray the new welterweight champion of the world, and beginning to seal his seat in this elite group. It didn't take Ray long before he was right back at it again. After handling his business with Duran and defending his title once, he was ready to take that next step in solidifying his seat in the Magnificent Seven by facing Ayub Khalil, who was in his 5th title defense, looking to make it 6 for his WBA Super Welterweight title, June 25th, 1981, at the Astrodome in Houston, Texas. Going into the fight, Khalil was undefeated and clearly the bigger man. But once Sugar Ray found out Khalil had nothing for him, he was willing to exchange. And he was winning most of the exchanges. Khalil got off a few good shots, but it wasn't nothing Sugar Ray couldn't handle. Once the 9th round came around, Khalil was on his pockets and wasn't able to get up. The referee called it off, and Sugar Ray was the new WBA Super Welterweight World Champion. After becoming undisputed by beating Thomas Hearns, Ray had a couple more fights and decided to take 3 years off, 2 years and 11 months to be exact. But he was ready to return. According to Wikipedia, Ray decided to challenge Hagler after watching this fight versus John Mugabe on March 10, 1986. He said he was at ringside with Michael J. Fox. He said they were sitting there having a few beers, and he was watching John the Beast Mugabe outbox Hagler. Of all people, John the Beast Mugabe? Now, I had a few beers, and I said, Michael, I can beat Hagler. And he said, Ray, do you want another beer? I said, yes, I do, but I can beat Hagler. And Maestro did just that. He put together a nice tone and orchestrated his way to a split decision in a 12-round battle versus Marvin Hagler on April 6, 1987 at Caesar's Palace Outdoor Arena in Las Vegas, Nevada, for Hagler's WBC middleweight title. The fight was called the Super Fight, one former undisputed versus another. From the start, Ray was working off the jab, using the ring to avoid any heavy shots from Hagler, even styling on him here and there, wearing him down by going to the body and combos up top. But Hagler was game. He took some to get some. By the 5th round, Hagler had Ray in a little trouble that he would fight his way out of. And both men go back and forth round after round, with Ray getting a little bit better at the shots after overcoming heavy blows from Hagler. And by the 12th round, they both was letting hands go till the sound of the bell. with a split ending, with one judge having it 113, 115 for Hagler, and the other two judges having it 115, 113, and 118, 110 for Leonard, making him the new WBC middleweight champion of the world and one step closer to securing his seat in this elite group. After a little over a year off, Ray was ready to stamp his seat, and Donnie Lalonde was holding the keys. Lalonde was the WBC light heavyweight champion, going into his second defense. But this fight was also introducing the WBC super middleweight title for the first time to the winner. The fight was in familiar territory for Ray, Caesars Palace Outdoor Arena, Las Vegas, Nevada, November 11, 1988. Now going into the fight, Lalonde thought Sugar Ray was crazy because he was the bigger man. But that really didn't play no difference, because Ray used his boxing IQ and his skills and countered Lalonde whenever he left openings. Lalonde did catch up to Sugar Ray in the fourth round and put him down. But when Ray felt that shot, once he got up, it was game on. They started exchanging punches through rounds until the ninth round came, and Lalonde lost an exchange and went down. But when he got up, Ray put him down again, and he never got up anymore. The ref called it off, making Ray the new WBC light heavyweight champion and the new WBC super middleweight champion of the world, solidifying his seat in this elite group. Grim, El Cholo, Hands of Stone, Roberto Duran, from Panama City, Panama, by way of El Chorrillo, Panama. He began his trend June 26, 1972, at Madison Square Garden, New York, New York, by stopping Ken Buchanan for his WBA lightweight title in round 13. Going into the fight, Buchanan was on his third title defense, and Duran was looking to set trends and becoming champion. From the bell, Duran was trying to land that home run shot, even clipping Buchanan and getting a knockdown. But Buchanan was game. He wasn't down long. He got up and almost scored a knockdown himself. Buchanan boxed pretty good for the most part, but he couldn't move all night. Duran kept bringing the pressure, and Buchanan was trying to exchange with him, but he was finding out why they called him the Hands of Stone. He was getting hit everywhere. Although he was able to land shots of his own, the pressure and power of Duran's was telling. After taking a beating all night, Buchanan was at the end of a low blow that had him hurt and unable to continue, forcing the ref to call it off and making Duran the new WBA lightweight champion and his first step into this elite group. After ruling the lightweight division with 12 defenses and becoming undisputed, Duran was ready to take that next step in securing his seat at the table, but this time in unfamiliar territory, Olympic Stadium, Montreal, Quebec, Canada, versus Sugar Ray Leonard for his WBC welterweight title. The fight was called the Brawl in Montreal. Same place Sugar Ray won his gold medal, but that wasn't going to be a problem. The fight started at Ray's pace the first round, but after that, Duran dictated the pace with counterpunching, making Ray pay for every miss with uppercuts and hard shots to the body. The pressure Duran brought that night had the judges going to the hospital after the fight. Even the referee needed an IV. Duran was on Sugar Ray like he was Forrest running through the woods with Bubba. The fight was going back and forth all night, with Duran taking 2 rounds to give up 1, even hurting each other in the process, but Duran did most of the hurting, grinding out a close unanimous decision, 144-146, 144-145, 147-148, and becoming the new welterweight world champion and taking another step closer to his seat in this elite group. After beating Sugar Ray, Duran lost a little spunk, evident by the weight he put on and that surprising act he displayed in the 8th round in the rematch. That, coupled with a few losses, he was ready to get back in the mix and continue what he set out to do. Standing in his way, Davey Moore. The date, June 16, 1983, at Madison Square Garden, New York, New York, on Duran's 32nd birthday. Moore was on his fourth title defense, and Duran was 4-3 in his last 7 fights, and ready to take another step in boxing history. The fight started off pretty good for Moore. He was able to counter and win some exchanges, landing nice telling shots on Duran. But the body work from Duran proved to be a factor from the openings he created. Moore returned fire of his own, knocking Duran back a few times as they exchanged punches throughout the fight. But it was telling that Moore was out of gas as the rounds started to wear down, leaving openings that Duran would take advantage of, dropping Moore in the 7th. And when the 8th rolled around, Duran finished him with relentless pressure, forcing the corner to call it off, making Duran the new WBA super welterweight world champion and one step closer to solidifying his seat in this elite group. After losing to Marvin Hagler 5 months later in the 15-round close unanimous decision and getting stopped in 2 rounds by Thomas Hearns in 1984, Duran took 2 years off and came back on a tear, picking up 7 wins and a split decision loss from 86 to 88, and was ready to claim his seat in boxing history once again. Standing in his way was Iran the Blade Barkley. The date, February 24th, 1989, at the Convention Center in Atlantic City for Barkley's WBC middleweight title. From jump, Barkley was working off the jab, changing levels and hooking off of it. Duran would adjust by countering with combination punches to the head and body, backing Barkley up. Blade was game though, landing combos of his own and staying busy with the jab. Midway through the fight, the exchanges was getting more and more explosive, with Duran delivering the more telling shots, evident by the swelling around Barkley's eye. Although Barkley was dropping bombs of his own, paying for his misses is what he did all night. But he responded every time, trading shots with Duran round after round. The 11th round would prove to be the difference, as Barkley got caught in the exchange that had him at the end of a flurry of punches and on his back trying to figure it out. Even though he was able to get up and fight his way to a split ending, it wasn't enough. Duran became the new WBC middleweight champion and stamped his seat in this elite group. Doc, Pernell Sweet Pea Whitaker, from Norfolk, Virginia, born and raised. He began his trend in his hometown on February 18, 1989, at the Coliseum in Hampton, Virginia, against Greg Hogan for Hogan's IBF lightweight title in his 3rd defense. Sweet Pea was 16-1, but ready to take on another step in boxing history after winning gold in the 1984 Olympics. The fight started off with Hogan being aggressive and Doc assessing his patient. It didn't take long before he found the prognosis in the form of a surgical beatdown. Hogan tried his best to put something on Sweet Pea, but just couldn't. He must have thought he was in there with Neil from the Matrix, the way Whitaker was slipping his punches and coming back styling on him. Hogan was getting schooled. And from the way it looked, Doc was enjoying every bit of it. He was tendering ribs and delivering behind the back hooks on Hogan. His work off the jab was setting up things Hogan never saw coming, putting him down a few times. This was one of the coldest 12-round beatings I seen. I thought I saw Adrian in the crowd. I know I heard, but it never came. Hogan stood in there and took that surgical beatdown like he was on anesthesia or something. Sweet Pea never missed a beat for 12 rounds, giving him a wide unanimous decision and making him the new IBF lightweight world champion and one step closer to his seat in this elite group. Whitaker waited 2 years before taking that next step. After ruling the lightweight division and becoming undisputed by beating Juan Nazario in 1 round, he was ready to open the next chapter by moving up and facing Rafael Pineda for his IBF super lightweight strap. The date, July 18, 1992. The place, Mirage Hotel and Casino in Las Vegas, Nevada. Going into the fight, Pineda was on his 2nd title defense and ready to see what Sweet Pea was all about. The fight started off with Pineda trying to stay on the outside using his jab, but that didn't work well. He just became a moving target, and the main focus was the body, setting everything up with jabs and feints. Pineda couldn't land nothing flush, just grazing and air punches. Sweet Pea was catching and making him pay all night, getting him frustrated to the point he went a little low. But it was back to work for Sweet Pea. He couldn't miss. He was landing left hand after left hand before dropping Pineda in the 8th round with a body shot. Pineda would get up and try to land a lucky shot, but it never came. Sweet Pea toyed with him the rest of the way, giving him a unanimous decision, making him the new IBF super lightweight champion and another step to solidifying his seat in this elite group. It didn't take long before Whitaker took that next step. After making easy work out of Ben Baez with a first round knockout, he was ready, and standing in his way was WBC welterweight champion James Buddy McGirt, who was on his 3rd title defense. The date was March 6, 1993. Place, Madison Square Garden, New York, New York. The fight started off with both fighters trying to dictate the pace for the first 5 rounds. But midway through, it was clear who was in control. Buddy wasn't making it easy, getting off good shots here and there. But the accuracy and quickness was a telling factor. Sweet Pea was able to counter, get off good combination punches, and catch a lot of Buddy's shots. Buddy was able to land the right hand late in the fight, winning him some rounds, but it wasn't enough. The judges saw it: 117, 111, 115, 113, and 115, 114, unanimous, making Sweet Pea the new WBC welterweight champion and one step closer to stamping his seat in this elite group. After defending his welterweight crown 3 times, one being the rematch versus James Buddy McGirt, Sweet Pea was ready to take that next step and stamp his seat. Standing in his way was 52-1 WBA super welterweight champion Julio Cesar Vasquez, who was defending his title for the 11th time. The date, March 4th, 1995. The place, Convention Center, Atlantic City, New Jersey. From jump, the size was a telling difference in the fight, and Julio was looking to take full advantage of it. But Sweet Pea was ready, slipping the jab while establishing one of his own, waiting to counter, which was effective early, and made Doc more and more comfortable breaking him down. Julio was able to land shots of his own after giving up so many. Sweet Pea was landing every punch a fighter could throw. He even got a little comfortable going in the chicken stance and getting caught in Vasquez's missing combinations and thrown down, which was called a knockdown. But that played no part in the outcome. He got up and started throwing with Vasquez, even getting clipped a few times. Doc was surgical with them hands, going to work on Julio's ribs and face. Julio had points took for holding and hitting behind the head in rounds 9 and 11. Although he was letting his hands go to the bell, it proved not to be enough for the accuracy and defense of Whitaker, enabling him to land whenever he wanted, giving him the nod: 116, 110, 118, 110, and 118, 107, unanimous, making him the new WBA super welterweight champion and stamping his seat in this elite group. Rogue, Golden Boy, Oscar De La Hoya, from Los Angeles, California, by way of Montebello, California. He began his trend March 5th, 1994, at the Olympic Auditorium in Los Angeles, California, in his hometown, versus 16-0 Jimmy Brudal for his WBO super featherweight title. Jimmy was on his 2nd defense. Oscar was 11-0 after winning gold and ready to take another step in boxing history. The fight started off pretty good for Jimmy. He was able to use his jab and get some good shots off on Oscar. But once Oscar got his off, you could tell who was the stronger fighter, with Jimmy going back and on his wallet in round 1. He would get up and box well, even landing a sneaky combo that had Oscar doing a little dance. but he ended up paying for that before the end of round 2, when Oscar walked him down and drilled him with lefts and rights till he went down on all fours. He would get up again and fight, popping Oscar with straight lefts to the head and body, but what Oscar was bringing back was something Jimmy couldn't handle. Oscar started an answer with a flurry of punches that got hard for Jimmy and his corner to watch. He was getting mopped, stalked, and dropped in the 10th round. After the bell, the doctor, Jimmy, and his corner had enough and waved it off, making Oscar the new WBO super featherweight champion and his first step into this elite group. After overcoming a little adversity 2 months later in his first title defense, Rogue was ready to take that next step, and standing in his way was Jorge Magomed Paez for the vacant WBO lightweight title. Date, July 29, 1994. Place, MGM Grand, Las Vegas, Nevada. Going into the fight, Oscar was 13-0, and Paez was 53-6-4, but that wouldn't make no difference. The fight started off with Paez being aggressive, bobbing and weaving his way in. He was able to touch Oscar a few times, but it was mostly bait. Once round 2 came around, Oscar delivered a left hook on Paez's way in, which was a start to a brutal whirlwind of punches that ended with another left hook, and Paez slumped over and then rolled over on his back, holding his head, counted out, making De La Hoya the new WBO lightweight champion and another step closer to stamping his seat in this elite group. After beating Paez, Oscar went on to defend his title 7 times before he took that next step. And standing in his way was a 96-1-1 WBC super lightweight champion named Julio Cesar Chavez, who was a little seasoned at the time, and in his 7th title defense. The date, June 7, 1996. Place, Caesars Palace, Las Vegas, Nevada, for Chavez's super lightweight title. The fight started off all bad for Chavez. After a couple jabs and a few straight right hands, he was busted open over his left eye. Oscar went to work on it too, had Chavez protecting it more than trying to fight. Oscar was landing jab and right hands till the ref stepped in and asked for it to be checked out. As tough as Chavez is, that had to be frustrating, getting cut that early in the fight, but he was game, trying to bob and weave, even jab his way in, taunting Oscar, trying to get his off, catching him here and there, but the cut was still being worked on by Oscar with jabs and right hands, even countering Chavez on his way in. Within the last minute of the 4th round, Oscar turned it up with combos and more right hands, forcing the ref to stop the action and have the cut checked out, because Chavez was a bloody mess. After a good look, the ref called it off, making De La Hoya the new WBC super lightweight champion and one step closer to stamping his seat in this elite group. It didn't take long before Oscar made the move to finish his mission. He defended his title 1 time 7 months later and chose to move up and stamp his seat. Standing in his way was 41-1 WBC welterweight champion Pernell Sweet Pea Whitaker, who was on his 9th title defense. The date, April 12, 1997. Place, Thomas and Mack Center, Las Vegas, Nevada, for Whitaker's WBC welterweight strap. The fight started off with both fighters trying to establish their jab, getting dirty on the inside, exchanging body shots and lead punches, making it a chess match. Round 3 was rough, with a headbutt and some good work from both fighters, making it tough to judge. But I think Oscar combination punching and counter uppercuts won him the round. The fight went back and forth till midway through, when Oscar turned it up late in rounds, with combos and lead shots, even catching Sweet Pea on the back foot. But round 9, Oscar was caught with a slick counter left hook that put him down. But he would get up and start to press Whitaker as they exchanged round after round till the bell, making it a close fight to call. The scorecards read 116-110, 116-110, and 111-115, unanimous, making Oscar the new WBC welterweight champion and stamping his seat in this elite group. Avid, Pretty Boy Floyd Money Mayweather, from Las Vegas, Nevada, by way of Grand Rapids, Michigan. He began his trend October 3rd, 1998, at the Las Vegas Hilton in Las Vegas, Nevada, versus 38-1-1 WBC Super Featherweight Champion Gennaro Chicanito Hernandez, who was on his fourth title defense. Floyd was 17-0 after he had to settle for bronze because of judging controversy in the '96 Olympics. But he was ready to take another step in boxing history. The fight started off with Gennaro trying to swing for the fences, and Floyd able to slip and tie him up, putting Gennaro in front of him so he can work the jab, head and body. Gennaro would fire some hooks of his own that ended with him stepping on Floyd's foot and Floyd on the ground, which was ruled a slip. He got up and more jabs and counters came before Gennaro got his foot stepped on and he went down. He would get up and be aggressive, but every time he stood in front of Floyd, he was fed an appetizer of lead left hooks that ended up with him throwing elbows. But Floyd would come back with something like a straight right hand followed with a left hook. He was in his bag, pulled counters, found a home for double left hooks, and the main course was the uppercut, which came from all angles. By the 8th round, Gennaro was ready for dessert, and Floyd gave it to him, a counterpunch sundae, laced with a combo that sent him to his corner thinking things through, leaving him and his trainer with the decision to call it all off, making Floyd the new WBC Super Featherweight Champion and one step closer to his seat in this elite group. After beating Gennaro Hernandez, Floyd would go on to defend his title 8 times in 9 fights. With the last one ended in a RTD, he was ready to take that next step. Standing in his way was 45-4-1 WBC lightweight champion Jose Luis Castillo. Date April 20th, 2002. Place MGM Grand, Las Vegas, Nevada, for Castillo's lightweight title. The fight started off with Castillo standing right in front of Floyd, looking to counter, which brought back a double left hook that rocked him back. Castillo was able to get a few off early. The second round, Castillo went down by getting his foot stepped on, avoiding another left hook. He would get up and get popped a few times before being aggressive and clashing heads with Floyd. Castillo kept coming and paid a fee every time. Floyd charged him up, 3s, 8s, and 1s, even doubled up on the 2s. Castillo couldn't get nothing off flush. He had some success in round 6 and 7, but nothing Floyd couldn't handle. After a point was took from Castillo in round 8, Floyd would have it his way. Castillo would continue to walk in the front door, and Floyd was happy to welcome him with an elbow or a combo of choices. None of them were good. Floyd gave him a receipt for everything he bought with no refund: ribs, jawbone, and ear. Before it was over, Castillo would do everything he could to touch him, being a little too late as they swung to the bell, with the score being 116-111, 115-111, and 115-111 unanimous, making Floyd the new WBC lightweight champion and another step closer to his seat in this elite group. After beating Castillo in a rematch, Floyd would defend his title 2 more times before moving up and stopping Henry Brucelis in a title eliminator. He was ready to take that next step. Standing in his way was 39-6 WBC Super Lightweight Champion Artur Gotti, who was on his 3rd title defense. The date, June 25th, 2005. Place, Boardwalk Hall, Atlantic City, New Jersey, for Gotti's WBC strap. The fight started off with Gotti working the jab, trying to be first, and Mayweather feinting, looking for a home for that lead left hook early. It would be Mayweather who found the target first, inside, catching Gotti off guard with a right hook, left hook combo that had Gotti backing up, thinking it was dirty, not protecting himself. Then he got caught with a clean left hook that put him down. He got up, mad too. But round 2 is when it started to get ugly for Gotti. Floyd started to let his hands go, with lead right hand combos, and everyone was landing. When Gotti tried something, the check hook was there, followed with a few other shots. He was getting abused. It was downhill from there. Floyd started to tenderize his ribs, catching it with pull counters, 5-piece and a biscuit. He was showing out. Gotti was eating them too. If he tried to throw something, Floyd had an answer for it. Gotti was getting beat like Kane did Chauncey in Menace to Society. At one point, he was giving Gotti two of everything. At the end of the 6th round, his corner seen enough, and Gotti had more than enough, and waved it off, making Floyd the new super lightweight champion and one step closer to stamping his seat in this elite group. After destroying Gotti, Floyd wasted no time. He moved right up, got Sean Bay Mitchell out the way, and was ready to take that final step. Standing in his way was former undisputed champion, 34-3, IBF welterweight champion Super Zab Judah, who was on his second title defense. Date, April 8, 2006. Place, Thomas & Mack Center, Las Vegas, Nevada, for Zab's IBF strap and the vacant IBO title. The fight started off with Zab trying to establish his jab and Floyd on the defense looking to counter or land that straight right hand. But the shot that came was the lead left hook. Zab would answer with a left hand while still working the jab. Floyd would answer back before the end of the round with a right hand. Round 2 got a little more tactical, with both fighters trying to work the jab and wait for the counter. It was Floyd who would land first, but Zab would return the favor with a short right hook of his own that could have been called a knockdown. In rounds 3 and 4, Floyd was picking up the activity by landing that straight right hand to the body and head, even stiffening up his jab. Judah was able to land that left hand clean early in the 4th round that had Floyd covering up to get his thoughts together. From there, it was Floyd's show. He started with the body work, left hooks and straight rights was the soup of the day. Floyd couldn't miss, and Zab was lost. He would fight back though. Floyd was walking him down, barbecuing Zab ribs, making it harder for him to land shots. He paid a price for missing and waiting. Going down the stretch with a busted mouth and nose, he would try to land shots late, hoping to steal rounds. Floyd just wouldn't slow down. He started to treat Zab like a vertical whack-a-mole game, hitting Zab with every punch in his bag. Left hook, right hook, straight right hand, uppercut. Before the end of round 10, Zab went low for payback, giving him time to think about what the hell was going on. Floyd would come back out popping Zab's head around. He would land here and there till the final bell, but it wouldn't be enough. The score was 119-109, 117-111, and 116-112, unanimous, making Floyd the new IBF and IBO welterweight champion and stamping his seat in this elite group. Wrestler Manny Pac-Man Pacquiao from General Santos City, Philippines, by way of Kibawe, Bukidnon, Philippines. He began this trend December 4th, 1998 in Thailand at the Tun Suk College grounds versus 32-1-1 WBC flyweight champion Charchai Sasakul, who was on his 3rd title defense. Manny was 23-1, looking to take his first step in boxing history. The fight started off with Sasakul boxing pretty good, using the jab, ring, and counterpunching to keep Manny from coming forward and landing a big shot. Manny was looking for the straight left hand early, being real aggressive, and that jab was looking like it was irritating him. That or those sneaky straight right hands, he was able to get in. But Manny kept coming, taking Sasakul's shots to get one power shot wherever he could land it. Sasakul was a problem for the first 4 rounds, till Manny started to find his shots, mainly to the body. But Sasakul had skills and was able to find shots of his own and evade combos, making it hard for Manny. It was when Sasakul slowed down and had to fight is where the trouble started. Manny was the stronger out of the two. When he landed, you could see the difference. By round 8, Manny was in stock mode, walking him down, taking whatever Sasakul had, till he found that straight left that had Sasakul flat on his face and unable to get up, making Manny the new WBC flyweight champion and one step closer to his seat in this elite group. After sleeping Sasakul, Manny would defend his title 1 time before losing it on the scale. He would fight a total of 9 times, winning 8 by KO and falling victim to one himself, before moving up and taking that next step. Standing in his way, 33-1-1 IBF Super Bantamweight champion Leholo Ledwaba. Date June 23rd, 2001. Place MGM Grand, Las Vegas, Nevada, for Ledwaba's bantamweight title. The fight started off with Manny taking control, setting up punches off his jab. Ledwaba was able to get some shots off of his own behind his jab, but Manny would bust Ledwaba's nose open before the end of round 1. From there, Manny would let his hands go, dropping Ledwaba in round 2. Ledwaba would get up and land some body shots of his own, working off his jab. But Manny couldn't miss with that left hand. He was boxing Ledwaba, picking him apart from the outside, working that nose. As the fight went on, Ledwaba was able to find that left hook, but too far in between. Manny was all gas, landing power shot at will. Ledwaba hung in there till the 6th round, when Manny caught him with that straight left hand that set Ledwaba down. He would get up, but only to get put back down with a left hook that ended his night, making Manny the new IBF Super Bantamweight champion and another step closer to his seat in this elite group. After getting Ledwaba out the way, Manny would defend his title 4 times before moving up and taking that next step. Standing in his way, 57-3, Ring Magazine featherweight world champion Marco Antonio Barrera, who was on his 3rd title defense. Date November 15, 2003. Place Alamo Dome, San Antonio, Texas. The fight started off with both fighters working the jab, but Barrera looking to counter, placing a nice uppercut, teaching Manny not to reach. Manny was able to touch Barrera with that left hand early, but got his foot caught up and tripped. The ref called it a knockdown. They would go back and forth with both fighters able to land good shots. Till round 3, Manny delivered that straight left he was looking for and sat Barrera down, thinking about where it came from. He got up and started to trade with Manny being the more busier, letting his hands go. Barrera was eating him, trying to get his back, but every time Manny saw an opening, he attacked, body and head. Round 6 was the second knockdown, but the ref called it a slip. Manny caught him clean, right hook, left uppercut, that sat him back down. Lucky for Barrera, it was late in the round. As the fight got deeper, Barrera would have his moments trying to catch up, but Manny would push right back, lighting him up like the 4th of July. Barrera would show signs of frustration in round 9 by hitting Manny on the break, but Manny was in full stock mode, mixing Barrera up. By round 11, Barrera was down again, but got up and was put right back in the blender, forcing his corner to step in and call it off, making Manny the new Ring Magazine featherweight champ and one step closer to stamping his seat in this elite group. After beating Barrera, Manny had to overcome some adversity after suffering a draw versus Marquez in their first fight and a unanimous decision loss versus Eric Morales. He was looking to bounce back. He was on a 6-0 win streak and was ready to take that final step. Standing in his way, 48-3-1 WBC Super Featherweight champion Juan Manuel Marquez, who was on his 2nd title defense. Date March 15, 2008. Place Mandalay Bay Resort Center, Las Vegas, Nevada. The fight started with Marquez trying to control the distance, patiently waiting for an opening that he found early with the right hand. Manny was able to get his back, even though Marquez's counter was waiting on him, which made Manny more aggressive, catching Marquez here and there, even if it cost him a small fee, which he paid for at the end of the 2nd round by getting caught in an exchange that had him do a little dance. Manny would return the favor at the end of the 3rd round by catching Marquez with a left hook that put him down. He got up and almost was put back down trying to exchange before the bell. From there, they went back and forth, landing shot after shot on each other, round after round, with Manny mixing up the tempo. Every time he would land the left hand, Marquez would land his right. But Manny's left hand had him dancing late in the fight. He was game, returning shots every time clean, fighting to the bell. But the score was 112-115, 115-112, 114-113, split, making Manny the new WBC Super Featherweight champion and solidifying his seat in this elite group.